and the rocket's red glare, and bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Municipal Stadium in Reading is the scene for tonight's final game of this four-game series between the Reading Phillies and the Bowie Bay Sox. Overcast skies here at the ballpark. In fact, they are calling for some rain, although they really do expect it much later, so we should be in for a good weather game. Certainly the temperatures have cooled off, and certainly the fans here at the ballpark, and especially in the picnic area, can appreciate that. Well, coming into tonight's ball game, the Bowie Bay Sox 49-39. The Phils come in 2 games over 500. They are 45-43. Reading captured Friday and Saturday night's games. Yesterday, Bowie got a measure of revenge as they won yesterday afternoon's game, and good crowd on hand to see this final game before the All-Star break. Let's take a look at the starting lineups tonight. First for the Bowie Bay Sox from Maryland, Luis Matos is in center field. He'll bat first. Richard Paz is the third baseman, hitting second. Tom Haig, the first baseman out of Princeton, bats third. Rick Short in right field hits fourth. Jason Worth, the catcher, bats fifth. Carlos Casemiro, the second baseman, batting sixth. Hitting seventh, the DH, Wadi Almonte. The shortstop, Augie Ojeda, bats eighth. And the left fielder, Darrell Dent, bats number 9. On the mound will be Josh Towers. How about defensively for the Reading Phillies, Chuck?
Well, Randy, this is how it's set up from third to first. We have Rusty McNamara getting the start at third base this evening. Jimmy Rollins swinging a hot bat at short. Larry Huff will be at second tonight, and Pat Burrell will be over at first base. In the outfield, from left to right, we'll have Gary Burnham in left field, Reggie Taylor in center, David Francia in right. Behind the plate will be Clemente Alvarez, and on the mound with Evan Thomas coming in with a 5-1 record and a 3.30 ERA. There's a good shot of Evan, coming off of 2 consecutive victories on the mound, doing a nice job getting back into the starting rotation here with the Reading Phils.
The umpires for tonight's game, John Bennett behind the plate. Scott Walendowski is at first base, and Rob Driscoll is at third. So we are set for baseball here. The Bowie Bay Sox and the Reading Phillies. Evan Thomas set to pitch to Luis Matos, and the ball game underway. The first pitch too high, ball 1.
You got to look at Evans' numbers in his last outings. Phil's come up with a victory there, and he said he was in the bullpen to start things off this season. Last year he was the opening day pitcher, and sure enough, he's worked his way back into the rotation and has been doing a stellar job for manager Gary Varsho.
Pitch fouled away, 1 ball and 1 strike to Matos. Paz and then Haig, the first 3 hitters of the game for the Bay Sox. Bowie with one of, I guess, of all of the strange nicknames around the country, and some of the good ones. The Bay Sox have one of the best. Team down on the coast in Maryland, just between Washington and Annapolis in Bowie. They play in the largest stadium in the league. 12,000 fans can fit into Bowie Stadium. This one ripped by the third baseman McNamara out into left field, a base hit. So Matos is aboard to start the game. Richard Paz will be the hitter.
Matos turned on an off-speed pitch. Went right down through the hole through McNamara and Rollins, a hard-hit ball. It's the first hit of the ball game. Well, you talked about the Reading Phillies being 2 games over 500, Randy. One good news is that Akron defeated Altoona, a team ahead of the Reading Phillies today, 7-1, and also Harrisburg defeated Erie 9-6 in 11 innings. Good sign here, so if the Phils can pick up a victory here, they can pick up a full game as they trail Erie by 5.5 games.
Well, the Phillies really have made some remarkable progress. They were 10 games below 500. That pitch taken, a foul tip, strike 1. And now just 5.5 out. And 4 games, as you alluded to, behind second place Bowie. So for the Reading Phils, anytime you can beat teams directly ahead of you, it's a big victory. And that's what they're shooting for here tonight and trying to win this series. Move over to first base and back safely is Matos. Luis at first base with good speed. He's 20 years old from Puerto Rico. And Evan Thomas, who primarily has been used as a reliever here, was a starter a year ago, 8-5 in 24 starts. Fouled away as the runner Matos going. He'll have to go back and the count 0-2.
So Richie Paz, he was 0 for 4 in yesterday's game. He's 1 for 12 in the series since we are in the fourth game of the 4-game series. Phils here lead 2-1. Try to pick up the third here for a nice break for the All-Stars. Pat Burrell will be spending some time in Mobile, Alabama. Also coming in for the Bowie Bay Sox, Ryan Kohlmeyer will be representing the Bay Sox this year. I think he'll be replacing Matt Riley.
Pat Barrell's been a busy guy. He was up in Boston yesterday, playing in a brand new kind of an all-star game. Little tapper, tough play for McNamara, and he throws the ball away. Doesn't go far enough to allow any advance, and Barrell able to get a glove on it to keep it from going past the coaching box. Barrell will go over and take a look. Almost slipped, kind of slipped awkwardly as he went for that ball. We'll take another look. This was a tough play for McNamara. This is one of those plays that you almost have to barehand and throw in the same motion. And once he did not do that, he wasn't going to get him.
That's right. Just got it off the end of the bat. It trickled down the line, but it was staying in play. And sure enough, McNamara, like you said, went down with the leather. Didn't really have enough on it. And watch Barrell after this. He a little bit of a stutter there right at the end of the play. It looked for a moment there. He was ready to fall forward.
Oh, a little bit of trouble for Evan Thomas here in the first inning. Tom Haig, the batter, takes ball one. A single to left and an infield single. Runners at first and second with nobody out. And Haig, a .292 hitter, 6 homers, 53 driven in.
Well, Haig was 1 for 2 yesterday.
He rips one, but foul.
He's 1 for 4 in this series. In the last 9 games, though, he's had 9 RBIs, and he's also hit a homer, so 14 for his last 28, hitting .500 for Tom Haig. There are his numbers.
Haig, who came out of Princeton University, not a lot of Ivy League players moving up the ranks in baseball, and he fouls this one away third base side. It's 1-2. Actually resurrected his career by playing with the Allentown Ambassadors in the Northeast League a year ago. Hit .348 and won himself a look by the Orioles organization. Pretty much of a line drive hitter, and as a first baseman, really to move up to the big leagues, if you don't have a little more power, you're looking at hitting in the minors maybe 15, 18 home runs, and he probably is going to get double figures before the year is out, but much more of a spray hitter and a line drive hitter than perhaps they would like for somebody who plays either a first baseman or a third baseman.
Right, you want the power on the corners, speed up the middle, and you're exactly right. Some teams get away with it. If you have a catcher, they can hit the long ball.
Fouled away again. Haig is a lot of fun to watch because he kind of stands up there, he'll talk to himself. If there's a pitch that he feels that he should have driven somewhere and he fouls it away, he's liable to hit his helmet with the bat. And it's odd because here's a guy who went to Princeton and off the field, very low-key guy, but really takes the art of hitting seriously.
Speak of Ivy League players, there's only actually one player in the big leagues that I ever think of making it, and that was the pitcher for the New York Mets, Ron Darling.
He attended Yale University. Curveball, bounce towards second, knocked down by Huff. They get the force. Nice play by Huff to stay with it. So they get a force out on Paz, scored 4-6. Haig safe at first on the fielder's choice. And Luis Matos at third. And let's take another look.
Larry Huff saves a run here because it was a nice shot up the middle. He went with the backhand. It was enough just to get leather on it. He had the presence of mind just to flip it over to Rollins to get the force at second.
It's a kind of good news, bad news scenario. The good news is they did get an out. The bad news is if he comes up cleanly with the ball, they probably turn 2. But instead, Rick Short will step in, a .310 hitter with 9 homers, 39 driven in. There's another big curveball. This one misses, ball one. We mentioned Pat Burrell's travel plans for the week. He was in Boston participating in the Major League Baseball's All-Stars Futures game yesterday. So what do you figure? Massachusetts on Sunday, Reading on Monday, and Alabama tomorrow.
A lot of frequent flyer miles, that's for sure.
It's like an NBA schedule.
That's exactly it.
Which misses, 2 balls and no strikes from Evan Thomas.
Here is Rick Short. He was 2 for 5 in yesterday's ball game. He's 4 for 13 in the series. He's 7 for his last 30 at-bats in his last 8 games. He's been a Philly killer, that's for sure. Short has come up big, getting close to, what, 500 against the Phillies.
Yeah, 16 for 33. Big swing there and a foul tip. 2 balls and 1 strike to Rick Short. Evan Thomas scuffling through the first inning. Runners at the corners with 1 out. Just underway here in Reading, on a day when there will be no competition at all from Big League Baseball. Big Leagues have the day off in preparation of tomorrow night's All-Star game at Fenway Park in Boston. Misses low, 3 balls and a strike. This day and Wednesday are the 2 days of the year where there are no big league professional sports at all.
That's right.
They're the only 2 days. It used to be you wouldn't play on Christmas, and now you do.
Speaking of that, how about Curt Schilling getting the start for the National League All-Stars? 3 Philly representatives this year. Mike Lieberthal and Paul Bird.
Had the chance Friday night to take in Schilling's performance at the Vet, his last win. And certainly he is getting primed. He really responds well to those big-time situations. This one drilled to center. Here comes Reggie Taylor, makes the catch. Mattos tagging. The throw will come in, but not be in time. It'll be an RBI for Short, a sacrifice fly ball, and a 1-0 lead for the Bay Sox.
Number 11, catcher Jason Worth.
RBI number 40 for Rick Short. This one hit on a rope, but right at Reggie Taylor, and deep enough to make, or to allow the runner from third to score, although Reggie certainly had a good start here in throwing the ball.
Taylor does have a pretty strong arm, but he had some speed with your leadoff hitter Los Matos on third. No problem getting in.
And Jason Worth now the batter. And actually that is 1 homer and 8 runs batted in. But the .357 correct. He has played very well since joining this club from Single-A Frederick.
Well, he was 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs yesterday. Had a pretty good game, and he's 2 for 12 in the series. So like you say, doing a nice job coming up from Frederick.
He's a guy who is not exactly built like a catcher. Good breaking ball at the knees, called a strike, 0-2. He's a former first-round pick.
You talk about a guy that's not built like a catcher. How about Mike Lieberthal?
Mike Lieberthal going to the All-Star game, and good for him, because a lot of people question that pick when the Phillies made it. Struck him out as he goes after a high fastball out of the zone. So Evan Thomas able to escape with only 1 run scoring, 1 run on 2 hits, 1 man left aboard. Phillies will get their first cracks at bat in this game. We go to the bottom of the first inning. It's Bowie 1 and Reading 0.
The Reading Phillies, affordable family entertainment, an immaculately maintained nostalgic ballpark, a unique blend of players hustling toward a dream in an atmosphere best described as a 9-inning carnival.
Nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop your cable company from being on time. Well, practically nothing. Because no matter what life throws at us, we're on time for installations, or they're free. And we're on time for service appointments, or you get $20 guaranteed.
Hey, you're right on time. Why wouldn't I be?
Too bad everything's not guaranteed like cable service.
Randy Stevens along with Charles Kerwin as we move to the bottom of the first inning. 1-0 Bowie on a sacrifice fly ball by Rick Short. Here's the Phillies lineup tonight. Reggie Taylor at the top in center field. Jimmy Rollins, the hero here on Saturday night at short. Larry Huff at second base bats third. Pat Barrell in the cleanup spot at first base. Good to see Tyrone Horn back in the lineup tonight. He's the designated hitter. Rusty McNamara is at third. Dave Francia hits seventh in right field. Gary Burnham is in left field batting eighth, and Clemente Alvarez does the catching. He'll hit number 9.
Look at the Bowie Bay Sox defensive lineup from third to first. As we look at Richie Paz at third base, Augie Ojeda at short, Carlos Casimiro at second base, Tom Haig at first. In the outfield from left to right, Darrell Denton left, Los Matos in center field, Rick Short in right field. Behind the plate is Jason Worth, and on the mound, 7-5 with a 4.58 ERA, right-handed pitcher Josh Control Towers. There are his numbers.
And you see the Control Towers idea, 108 innings, 13 walks. A year ago, 145 innings and only 9 walks. This guy does not fool around. He comes right at you. More of a finesse pitcher, though, than a power pitcher. You can kind of tell that just by his build. He's 6'1" and listed at 169 pounds. Fouls one away, third base side. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. A couple of interesting records. A year ago, he set, I don't know if it's a National Association record, but certainly within minor league baseball. At one point during the season, he went 48 2/3 innings without issuing a walk. This one grounded down to first, fielded by Haig. He'll race to the bag and make the play. And Reggie Taylor is retired, 1 away. He also, during the same season, Chuck, went 40 2/3 innings without issuing a walk. So 2 rather long streaks. This guy is like the Greg Maddux of the Eastern League.
If there's any blemish on his control and records, he actually leads the Eastern League in home runs. He's allowed 17 this year, but they consider him a workhorse. He's second in the league in innings pitched with 108. He has 2 complete game shutouts to his credit. His teammate Matt Riley is only 19. He's their #1 prospect. He's the other pitcher they make a lot of noise about here in Bowie.
Jimmy Rollins goes after the first pitch, and Casimiro throws him out, so quickly there are 2 down. Josh Towers is the only member of the original starting rotation that has remained with this Bowie Bay Sox club throughout the season. This was a team that had some good young pitching, and in fact it is a very young team. Managed by Joe Ferguson. If you follow Major League Baseball, certainly that name will ring a bell. Go back to the Dodger teams of the 70s. He was a member of most of them. Played in some pennant winning teams, 74, 77, 78. He was always platoon with Steve Yeager. They're going after the first pitch a lot. Ojeda from deep in the hole, and he makes the play. So Larry Huff gunned down. Nice play by Ojeda, the shortstop. The little guy makes the play. And 3 ground ball outs spell the end of the first inning for the Phillies. 1-0 Bowie as we go to the second inning.
Looking for quality family entertainment at an affordable price? Join the Reading Phillies and Berks County News for a great night of family fun at the ballpark. On Monday evenings throughout the season, you can receive 4 box seats, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a program for only $30. Visit and watch the ball game, enjoy the between-inning entertainment, ride on the train, and more. Come out and join the Reading Phillies for Berks County News Family Nights and have a ball.
What's the difference between the big picture and Time Warner Home Theater? That's easy. The big picture is one of the biggest and best parts of Time Warner Home Theater. A premier selection of the latest movies and events we choose each month. So it's easy for you to see what's new, what's hot, what's big. Find out what's on the big picture. Just look for the special tune-in spots we air each month or tune to Sneak Preview. To order the big picture, just check your on-screen guide or Sneak Preview channel for instructions. Get the big picture on Time Warner Home Theater.
Nice play by Ojeda deep in the hole.
Augie Ojeda goes back off the fringe of the end of the infield and just fires it over. Tom Haig for the final out of the inning. with Larry Huff. He has pretty good speed down the line, but didn't get there this time for the final out of the bottom of the first inning. There is Evan Thomas. A little roughed up in the top of the first inning, if you want to call it that. Gibbs surrendering a run. He gave up back-to-back singles to start things off. Nice play by Larry Huff in the field. A nice backhand to get the first out of the inning.
A swing and a miss by Casemiro. Carlos has been in a slump. He is just 2 for his last 32 over 7 games. He was batting .246 about a month ago, and last 21 games just .148, so the average really slipping. Fouls one back.
The one thing that jumps out about you is your second baseman leading your ball club in with 10 home runs. That's something rather surprising. And Wadi Almonte each with 10 home runs on the season.
Fans continuing to stream into the ballpark despite the overcast skies. In the air to right center field should be an easy play for Dave Francia. And there's one down here in the second inning. The only run of the game coming in the first inning. Luis Matos from third base scoring on a sacrifice fly ball by Rick Short. And Wadi Almonte, the designated hitter, will stand in. Almonte tied with Casemiro for the team lead in homers with 10.
Power at the bottom of the lineup for manager Joe Ferguson.
The people who watch Eastern League baseball regularly will tell you this kid is probably the most improved player from a year ago in the league. He really struggled in '98 and has come around nicely. 2 balls and no strikes to count to him. Augie Ojeda waiting on deck.
Really opens himself up in the box, really spread out and points his left leg out and brings it over.
Shallow right field. Francia again will make the play, and does. And there's 2 down, so Dave Francia handling a couple of easy fly balls. 2 away, nobody on for Augie Ojeda. I want to say hi tonight to a friend of mine, Chris Collins from the Bowie Blade News, the wife of the play-by-play guy, Dave Collins. I've known Dave since, God, I don't even want to say it's been so long. But Chris is here with their 2 kids tonight.
Mr. Collins did you a favor. You should share that story.
Oh, yeah. He's done me a number of favors over the years. Pitch missing to Ojeda, 1 ball and no strikes. Augie made a fine play deep in the hole to end the first inning. Evan Thomas delivers the strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You see Evan Thomas, it seems like he's found his groove. It's always if he gets by the first inning without much trouble, he usually finds that groove and just really starts turning them out. Trying to find that spot in the mitt. And sure enough, Thomas seems to get right back into it. He has 2 quick outs here in the top of the second.
2-1 the count. It's always amazing to watch minor league pitchers and what organizations have in mind. Evan Thomas, firmly entrenched a year ago as a starting pitcher, popped up third base side, back our way, and out of play. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to count. And now, because they want to work other people in and they feel that perhaps he may not get to the big leagues as a starter, he was ticketed as a reliever and getting a couple of spot starts. Last 2 outings, he started games and won both of them. Sort of fouled away again. Third base side, 2 balls and 2 strikes to count to Augie Ojeda.
Talking about a very special friend of ours. How about that Steve Degler? We'd like to wish him a happy 33rd birthday from all of us here at Time Warner Cable. Steve, one of our broadcast partners during the off-season, covering high school and college football, basketball, and soccer.
That pitch hit Augie Ojeda, so he'll draw the walk. It's hard to believe Steve Degler at 33.
Batting 9th, number 24.
It's like your little grasshopper.
He was getting a lot of good-natured ribbing. They had some things on the scoreboard. He thought he could slip in here without anybody noticing.
That's right.
Ha.
Here the Phils got together and sung happy birthday to him on the Jumbotron out in left field before tonight's ball game.
A little light rain now beginning to fall here at the stadium as Darrell Dent, the batter, move over to first base and Ojeda back. Pat Barrel in the bag with him. They gave out some towels tonight. A local finance company did. Those things might come in handy before the night's over.
That's right.
This one hit into shallow left field. On comes Gary Burnham. Just inside the line makes the catch, and that ends the inning. So 3 fly ball outs will do it. Evan Thomas negotiating his second inning. We're in the middle of the second. 1-0, the Bowie Bay Sox on top.
The British are coming. The British are coming. The Continental Army is on alert. A battle of historic proportions is set to take place on May 22nd and 23rd at the Daniel Boone Homestead in Birdsboro. Living history programs, crafts, and tours will make your 18th century experience complete. A commemorative video produced by Time Warner Cable will be available during the event. Call 582-4900 for more information and be a witness to history.
At Time Warner Cable, we know you can't afford to waste time. That's why we're proud to offer the on-time guarantee. If we're late for an installation or service appointment, you'll receive a $20 credit, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Time Warner Cable.
On time? Guaranteed. Time Warner Cable.
On time, guaranteed.
Time Warner Cable.
On time, guaranteed. Time Warner Cable.
On time.
Guaranteed.
Time Warner Cable.
On time.
Guaranteed. Time Warner Cable, home of the on-time guarantee.
Nice some colorful umbrellas popping up here around the ballpark as a little bit of rain beginning to fall. They were expecting perhaps just a couple of drizzles. That's about all it is right now. Certainly not enough to interfere with play. Phillies come to bat here in the bottom of the second inning. They trail 1-0. Josh Towers, a 1-2-3 first inning. And Pat Barrel will lead things off. And what a year he has had, a .355 batting average. Started the year slowly power-wise. That's wide to third. Nice play made by Paz. Throws to first in time. I'll tell you what, Towers getting some nice defense behind him from the left side of the infield. Ojeda made a great play to end the first inning, and Paz takes a hit away from Barrel to start the second.
Well, Richie Paz did a nice job of just getting that over there. Barrel did all he could to get down the line, but good defensive play by Richie Paz for the first down of the inning.
And here's Tyrone Horn. It's great to see him back in the lineup. He has been out of action since May the 9th. He had an emergency appendectomy. And timeout, I believe, was called before that pitch was delivered, so we'll have to cue it up again. This is the first game that Horn has played, spent most of his recovery time back in Idaho.
Yeah, Tyrone looks a little svelte. Looks like he dropped a few pounds while he was out of the lineup there.
This is a great guy to have on your ball club, not only in terms of talent. We've chronicled the monster year he had last season, fouls one away, but kind of a guy who will have some fun with players, and
yep.
I know he gave you a tough time during one interview segment.
We had a lot of fun with Tyrone. A character, to say the least. Here's Tyrone.
He's a veteran minor league guy and a good guy to have bat behind Barrel. He ripped that one, dropped by Casemiro, but he'll make the play. So that'll go as a ground ball out, although it should have been caught in the air. So 5 consecutive ground balls. And Josh Towers has set down everybody's face.
Tyrone hit the ball hard, but he just hit it right at second base. Carlos Casemiro. For the second out of the inning. Good swing. Just didn't find the hole.
And Rusty McNamara will be the batter. McNamara 0 for his last 9. Playing tonight in his 13th game as a Reading Philly since being called up from Clearwater.
Rusty playing third base tonight. So they put Larry Huff at second. Rusty's known to stop the ball in any which way. Loves to use his body. It's almost like a goalie over there at third base.
Ripped into right field. That'll be the Phillies' first hit, and the ball gets by short the right fielder. McNamara will steam into second base. We'll see how they roll that. Probably a single and an error on the right fielder short.
Like you said, Rusty really smoked it. He got all of it, and it really went out for one bounce. Rick Short out there in right field tried to get over. It looks like he, look at this one more time, went opposite field. McNamara inside out swing, but got all of it, that's for sure. Right down the line, here goes Short. A little nonchalant, yep.
Yeah, it took a bad bounce is what happened. That was a tough bounce, and I don't know whether they'll be giving him an error or not. Nothing on the board yet, but that's a tough play. Dave Francia, the batter now. Francia has been red hot. Takes one for a strike. He is 12 for his last 26 over a 12-game period, batting at a .462 clip.
He has really put on a good show here in Reading during this homestand.
Fouled back into the screen. It's 0-2 to Dave Francia. 2 outs, Rusty McNamara at second base. He represents the tying run. You can see Francia, a pretty good hitter with runners in scoring position. There's McNamara. 1-0 Bowie. We're in the bottom of the second inning here in Reading. And again, fouled away, still 0-2. I mentioned watching Schilling beat the Orioles on Friday night. It was great to see Cal Ripken Jr. play in Veterans Stadium. Of course, he made an appearance, I think it was the year before last, but a lot of people remember him in the '83 World Series when the Orioles took on the Phillies. It was also kind of a bizarre night because in the same inning, you got a chance to see the guy who is the least liked player in baseball, Albert Bell, and the guy who's the most liked in the same three-man segment. And there's a strikeout for Josh Towers. The foul tip held by the catcher Worth, and that'll do it. Towers gets his first strikeout. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. After 2, Bowie 1 and Reading nothing. Welcome back to Reading's Municipal Stadium. Randy Stevens along with Chuck Curlin. 1-0, the Bowie Bay Sox out in front. Evan Thomas getting set to go back to work. And there's always a good crowd on hand here in Reading. And right now, we want to remind you that we'll be presenting the Reading Phillies Trivia segment where we ask the questions and you send in the answers. That'll be coming up in just a couple of innings. If your name is chosen from the correct responses, you'll win a Reading Phillies hat and a t-shirt. Your name will be entered to win a Reading Phillies jacket at the end of the regular season. There's the address. Time Warner Cable Programming Department on Riverfront Drive in Reading. And Chuck, you can do the honors for the website.
That's right. The 3 W's, TWC Baseball at hotmail.com. For those of you on the World Wide Web, you can submit your entry. www.twcbaseball at hotmail.com.
The Bay Sox come up here at the top of their order. Luis Matos will be the batter. He has scored the only run in this ball game on a sacrifice fly ball by teammate Rick Short. That back in the first inning.
Well, he got things started for the Bay Sox, leading off the ball game with a single.
Tries to bunt a little too hard. McNamara up with it, throws to first in time. Nice play by Barrel as he stays on the base. And Matos is retired. Matos made a very close play of what appeared to be an easy out. He bunted the ball just a wee bit too hard, but he really hustled it down the line.
I'll give Rusty McNamara a lot of credit. He really anticipated the bunt rather well. They're charging down the line, getting in front of the ball. Record the first out of the inning. Here in the top of the third. Here is Richie Paz. Talking about a nice defensive third baseman. He made a nice play actually on Pat Burrell. Back in the second inning.
Paz is another one of these young Bowie Bay Sox, just 21 years of age, from Venezuela. It's been kind of an up and down season for him. Began the year at Bowie, then went down to Frederick. Drew 47 walks in brief time there, and now is back at Double-A. Breaking ball from Evan Thomas, it missed. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Paz.
You talk about different stance and the way some of these batters approach their hitting psyche. Look at the way Richie Paz, he holds the bat so close to his chest.
Dave Francia has been a busy guy out there tonight. That's the 3rd fly ball that he's handled in the game's first 11 batters. There are 2 down here in the 3rd.
It's a good sign, too, because it seems like all 3 fly balls came off the bat of right-handed hitters, so Thomas might have a little extra gas throwing this ball over the plate. Not catching up to him.
Tom Haig, the batter. And he takes a fastball too low, ball 1. Haig, who played at Elmira, managed by Ed Ott there. Remember Ed Ott? Used to be a Pirates catcher when they had their World Championship teams.
Yes, I do. Remember Big Ed?
This one fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Haig. 2 outs, nobody on. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. The Bay Sox enjoying the lead 1-0. Good for the Orioles. They're in a very similar situation as the Phillies with their AAA and AA clubs. Well, not AAA so much, but in the Orioles' case, AA and single A clubs very close to Baltimore. That's a called strike on the inside corner, 1 and 2. The AA club in Bowie not too far from Baltimore, and of course just up the road from Baltimore is Frederick, where they have their single A club. Orioles AAA in Rochester, and it has been for many, many years one of the oldest affiliations. Pitch reached for, fouled in the dirt, still 1 and 2. Meanwhile, the Phillies have the luxury of having their AAA team and AA clubs, Scranton and Reading, relatively close by. And that makes a lot of difference.
You talk about this Bowie team, too, in terms of the total facelift. Very young ball club. Remember Ryan Miner last year playing 3rd base. How about Ryan Luzinski behind the plate?
Ooh, that pitch might have beamed him. Looks like it might have gotten him right on the back of the helmet or on the shoulder, but certainly not what the pitcher Evan Thomas wanted to do. Let's take a look at where this pitch ends up. Oh yeah, got him right on the upper back or shoulder area there. For a minute, might have grazed the helmet. Good replay by our crew. So Haig, he says, "What the hey?" He's on base, hit by a pitch, and Rick Short, who drove in the game's only run, the batter.
We're only in the 3rd inning, and that's the 2nd batter hit by a pitch by Evan Thomas. Hit Augie Ojeda back in the 2nd. Almost a similar situation with 2 outs in the inning.
He takes a strike. You know, this goofy Eastern League schedule this year, not only is it unbalanced, but these 2 teams, prior to this series, all of their meetings had been in Bowie. And now there's 2 more meetings, the end of July and the end of August, and they'll be here. So they literally play 3 series down there and then 3 series here. It's a little bizarre.
Very nice off-speed pitch there by Evan Thomas. Really had Short handcuffed. Yeah, the schedule is bizarre. I think they're going to straighten all that out for next season, that's for sure.
This one popped up foul. Barrel chasing it along with Alvarez, and it's up on top of the dugout. And boy, Alvarez almost slid right into the dugout. He had some guys who jumped up to help him, including, I think that's Tyrone Horn. That's always a scary moment. It's a little bit easier when you're charging a foul ball heading for your own dugout, because you know you're going to get some help. The opposing dugout, they may catch you once you're in there.
That's right.
But by then it's too late.
With Kirk Pierce now on the DL with a fractured wrist, really can't afford to lose Clemente Alvarez, especially the Phillies pitching staff. They like having him behind the dish.
Yeah, Clemente's going to get a chance to do a lot of catching here in July. This one's popped up. This should stay in play, or will it? McNamara can't get it, just out of his reach.
Nice play there by a fan in the picnic area. Well, you speak about that. With Alvarez behind the plate, the Phillies ERA is 3.21. And looking at their ERA without him, they're 4.97. This guy's caught 182 innings for the Phillies this year, so a very valuable asset behind the plate.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to judge a catcher. People are all too prone to judge catchers on how many runners they throw out, but in terms of just everyday handling of a pitching staff and having the confidence of your pitchers, and just things like framing strikes, and sometimes you can buy your pitcher 3 or 4 pitches a game by the way you catch the ball, the position you give the umpire to look at it. And Clemente Alvarez very good in doing all of the above. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count. 2 outs, a runner at first.
You speak about catchers behind the plate. Speaking one in our system, how about Bobby Estalella? A lot of talk about him being moved around for another pitcher.
Bobby was a fixture here during the championship days in 1995. Has played at Scranton. Has done well at times with the Phillies, especially with his power.
Well, the rumor has it.
Ripped into left. That's a base hit. Burnham will get over there and he'll hold Haig at second base. So Rick Short behind in the count, able to get a hit regardless. And now a little bit of trouble here in the 3rd inning. 2 men on, all of this with 2 outs.
They're saying the rumor has it the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, with the injury to Jason Kendall, are very interested in a Bobby Estalella.
Boy, and how awful a scene was that.
Wow.
The Jason Kendall injury, just running down to first base. And well, I'll tell you, you just see that more and more these days. I mean, that was a kind of an injury with the way they showed him after he had fallen that looked almost worse than that Joe Theismann injury of many years ago, where Lawrence Taylor ended up on top of him. There's Jason Worth, struck out his first time up. Haig at second, Short at first. Fastball too high, ball 1.
And I'm not sure if there is anything worse than that Joe Theismann injury, though. I'll tell you, just seeing that physical blow, the way it was captured on television, it's one injury that always comes to mind when you see something that happens in live television. Oh.
Well, they say that Kendall injury was a far more serious injury, and that if it had happened when the Theismann injury had happened, that would have ended his career. With modern medical technology, they feel that he may be ready to be back in the lineup at the beginning of the year. Boy, that was just a very, very ugly scene. Not for the faint of heart, like myself. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Hopefully he'll be back. He was enjoying an all-star season. In the dirt, nice save by Clemente Alvarez, and that's another valuable tool of a catcher, able to dig out some of those curveballs and not let runners advance.
That's right. He's only allowed 6 wild pitches as he's been behind the plate, so that's pretty impressive to say the least. Comes out 1 every 30.1 thirds of an inning.
Two balls and a strike, and now 3-1.
Thomas seemed to be on cruise control, putting down the first 2 hitters here in the inning, and all of a sudden they hit batsman. And Rick Sweet coming up with Rick Short, I should say, with the big single into left field now. Bay Sox have a little threat with runners at first and second with 2 outs.
Three balls and 1 strike. Big pitch here for Evan Thomas. And he walked him. Jason Worth draws a walk. So Evan Thomas looked like he was out of the inning. He had retired the first 2 men. He was 1-2 to Haig and then hit him with a pitch. Short followed with a single. And then Worth drawing the first walk issued by Thomas. And there's manager Joe Ferguson conversing with Haig.
Speaking of signal callers, and played for the Dodgers organization, correct?
Some great teams in those 70s. We talked about the pennant-winning teams. Seems like that infield in the 70s they must have played 12 years together. You had Steve Garvey and Davey Lopes on one side, and Bill Russell and the Penguin, Ron Say.
That's right.
They caused the Phillies some miseries in a couple of series. Beat them in 77 and again in 78 to go to the World Series, and each time lost to the Yankees. Here's Casemiro, flied to right his first time up and fouls one away. And the bad news is the bases are loaded. The good news is Casemiro 2 for his last 33. Thomas ahead of him 0-1. That's it from the Phillies' perspective. This Bay Sox team, when they first came to Maryland, they played in Hagerstown. Were there for 4 years, shuffled around, fouled away. Actually ended up playing a year at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and you don't think that was a scene. There'd be about 4,000, 3,500 a game in a stadium that sat over 50. And of course, then they found their home. Fairly wealthy area where they play, a suburb of Washington. Formerly the Bowie racetrack was there. In the air, in the infield, and an easy play for Rollins, who puts it away, and the inning is over. So Casemiro retired, and Evan Thomas able to get out of trouble. No runs, 1 hit. The base is left loaded. Middle of the 3rd inning from Reading. Bowie 1, Reading nothing.
Some of the things that I liked about ABS were the small classes. It's an 18-month program, so you're in and out. So I was able to work at the same time I was attending school.
At ABS, the computer programs, they're current and up to date. They're what real businesses are using right now, not 2 years ago.
Here at ABS, they put you in real life situations, and they teach you how to handle something that would really happen, really putting the responsibility on the student to take care of himself, and guiding you through it at the same time.
Here at the ballpark tonight, the bat spin followed by a sprint when you're feeling a little dizzy, and there's your winner in the center of the screen. I guess they're going to decide. Well, let's give you the answer to the last trivia question. In fact, 2 of the last games. The last Reading Phil to lead the Eastern League in runs was Jeff Stone, 109 and 83. The all-time Eastern League record for most sacrificed flies in a season. Essex Gas Burton back in 1996. He had 16. The winner of the first was Tony Crouch of Sinking Springs. The winner of the second, Ryan Haggerty of Kenhorst. Our congratulations to them. They win a t-shirt, they win a hat, and they're entered to win the Phillies warm-up jacket, which will be held at the end of the year. To the bottom of the 3rd inning we go. It'll be Gary Burnham to lead things off. Burnham batting for the first time in this game, a .262 hitter facing Josh Towers. And he takes ball 1.
Josh seems to be in control, hasn't even gone through the entire lineup as of yet, and we're in the 3rd inning. Just surrendering 1 hit thus far.
Ball fouled away, so 1 ball, 1 strike, the count to Burnham. Clemente Alvarez will bat second in the inning, and then the top of the order, Reggie Taylor hits 3rd. Good changeup on the outside corner, and Burnham kind of just nodded as if to say, you got me on that one.
Yep, got to see the numbers. Gary's hitting .262, but he also has 7 home runs this season. He's used a little bit at first, and he's played the right field and left field. Tonight he's playing left field for manager Gary Varsho, so also designated hits every so often.
Laid off that pitch, got away with it. 3 balls and 2 strikes. These 2 teams playing for the 11th time this season. Phils have won 2 out of 3 in this series. Bowie leads the seasonal series 6 games to 4. This could be trouble. First baseman Haig, and the ball gets away from the pitcher. They had to hurry to make that play, and we'll see how they rule that. That's going to be an error. Probably on the first baseman. Let's take another look. You knew off the bat this was going to be trouble. Not hit very hard. Throw was just a little bit errant that time by the first baseman Hay. Let's see what happened.
You can see Haig picking it up with the leather. He tries to flip it over. He just tried to barehand that, I think. Josh Towers tried to pick that up with his bare hand, totally took his eye off the ball to look for his footing, to get his foot down on the bag, and sure enough, he was charged an error on the play.
Yeah, the error is actually on Haig. They ruled the error, and I'm a little surprised because I thought the throw was catchable.
Yep.
Clemente Alvarez, only a 131 hitter. He's the batter. Into center field, dropping quickly, a base hit. So the Phillies, with their second hit, the bottom two men in the Phil's order produce. And a couple of men aboard with nobody out. And the top of the order, Reggie Taylor, will be the batter.
Jason Worth's going to come out and have a few words with Josh Towers. Calm him down a little bit after those two sequences of plays. Clemente Alvarez fought that one off right up the middle. Second hit of the ball game for the Reading Phils. They go back to the top of the lineup with Reggie Taylor.
Oh, Reggie grounded out to first base his first time up. And he's had a very respectable season, a 280 average, 9 homers. For a while, led the team in runs batted in out of that leadoff spot. 12 doubles, and he's among the league leaders in triples with 8. And a base hit, got by Ojeda. They are waving Burnham around. He's headed for the plate, and he'll score. And the Phillies have tied the game on an RBI single by Reggie Taylor.
So the error pays dividends for the Reading Phillies. As Burnham was able to get on an error, and Reggie Taylor took full advantage. Hit the ball hard into the dirt and just skipped by Augie Ojeda. Took a weird bounce, getting just under the glove, and Gary was running all the way. Strong throw by Los Matos, but not enough time as Burnham goes in standing up to tie this ball game for the Phils.
Sometimes it is so deceptive. When you look at this inning, there's an error, and there's also what looked to be, that could have very easily been a ground ball double play. And Towers could be toweling off in the dugout. Instead, he'll have to hurry. Nice play as he quickly got off the mound. That'll go more or less as a sacrifice, even though it'll be scored unassisted 1. Rollins is out, but he does advance the 2 base runners, Alvarez to third and Reggie Taylor to second. But again, he could have been out of the inning unscathed if that ball just kind of stays up. It took like a funky little hop. And his work is just beginning now, still only 1 out in the inning. And Larry Huff, the batter. Huff has really come on. He got off to a slow start, but has hit well over the last month. Curveball ripped into the stands, foul. Oh, somebody made a great catch over there. Just as that ball was about to go into the parking lot, somebody reached over the fence and grabbed it.
Nice.
Our gentleman right in the middle of the screen there made a fine play.
He let everyone know. He had a nice bow and told everybody, thank you very much.
I'll be here all week.
That's it.
Fastball missed. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You talk about Larry Huff, who's really turned it up a notch here. He's hitting .257 on the season, but he has 21 RBIs coming into play here, and also the big thing is his doubles. 21 doubles on the season. He's been able to find the gap.
Ooh, chased a bad pitch that time, though. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, Huff batting over 300 in his last 9 games. Of course, he had the remarkable start a year ago. He hit over 400 during the month of April and had the year-ending shoulder surgery. This one driven deep into center field. Matos going back. He'll make the catch, but the Phillies are going to take the lead. Clemente Alvarez comes in to score. It's 2-1 Reading. Sacrifice fly ball for Larry Huff, RBI number 44. And the Phillies have scored a pair here in the 3rd inning, and let's take another look.
Larry Huff went down for it, hit the ball hard. As you can see, Los Matos going back, but he had plenty of time to get under it. He got it up a little bit too high off the end of the bat, but it was deep enough that Clemente Alvarez was going to have an easy way tagging up to pick up the 2nd run of the ball game, 2nd one of the inning for the Phils as they take the lead now. 2-1, and Pat Farrell comes to the plate with runner in scoring position and 2 outs. 12-game hitting streak on the line.
And that pitch just missed. 1 ball and no strikes. Hard to begin to describe the year that Pat Farrell has had. Chuck alluded to his 12-game hitting streak, over which time he is 21 for 45, batting .467. And he takes ball 2. One thing that has helped him has been his unfailingly good eye at the plate.
Very, very patient.
Drawn a lot of walks. In fact, a total of 55. His on-base percentage, .471. Pops this one up, and this should end the inning. Second baseman Casimiro will make the play, and the inning comes to an end, but not before the Phillies take the lead. They scored 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left aboard. 3 innings in the books from Reading. The Phillies 2 and the Bay Sox 1.
At Berks County Bank, we guarantee personalized banking the way it used to be. Age 50 or better? Become a Classic Club member. You'll receive special benefits like free financial and investment consulting, free checking and Classic Club checks, discounted safe deposit box, exclusive lunch and learn programs, organized trips, and lots more. Plus, receive the personal attention you deserve from your very own Classic Club director. BCB's Classic Club. Personalized banking the way it used to be. Look for us in your neighborhood.
The British are coming. The British are coming. The Continental Army is on alert. A battle of historic proportions is set to take place on May 22nd and 23rd at the Daniel Boone Homestead in Birdsboro. Living history programs, crafts, and tours will make your 18th century experience complete. A commemorative video produced by Time Warner Cable will be available during the event. Call 582-4900 for more information and be a witness to history.
Well, the Reading Phillies have taken the lead with a pair of runs in the 3rd inning. Hits are even in this game at 3 apiece. We're going to the 4th inning now, and the Bay Sox will have the bottom 3rd of their order. It'll be Waddy Alamonte, Augie Ojeda, and then Darrell Dent to do the hitting.
He said a very peculiar inning as we had the bottom of the 3rd inning for the Phils. Very strange series of events with the error to lead things off, and timely hitting by Clemente Alvarez and Reggie Taylor.
And here is Waddy Almonte fouling a pitch away.
You said Waddy, the considered most improved player here in the Eastern League. He's picking up some pretty good numbers this year for the Bay Sox.
And in case you're wondering, Waddy is not a nickname. That is his given name. He is from the Dominican Republic. I was wondering that myself before the game. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Waddy Enrique Almonte. We need John Miller to come in to pronounce that name and roll a few R's. This one wide of 3rd, past Joe Ferguson down into the Bay Sox pen. Guys don't have enough to do down there, you can tell. Almonte fly to right his first time up, and he drills this one deep into center field. But Reggie Taylor, with all kinds of room, makes the catch. Out number 1 here in the 4th inning. So, baseball, the All-Star game tomorrow night at Fenway Park. There's just something a little magical about that. Whenever it's at Yankee Stadium or Wrigley Field, one of the flagship parks, stadiums around the country. And of course, Fenway Park due to disappear in a couple of years. Talking about a new stadium, and this will be kind of the last swan song for the great lady. There's a strike to Augie Ojeda, who walked his first time up. 1 of 2 that Evan Thomas has permitted. And Ojeda takes low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You speak of Fenway being one of the nostalgia parks. How about Wrigley Field? Look at that field. Do you think that would ever you hate to say it, be torn down for a new stadium because it's in such a large city such as Chicago?
It's hard to say. Fenway Park also right in the heart of the city, but I guess the thinking is they need a more modern structure and they want to be able to compete, throw up some luxury boxes. There's a shot at Jimmy Rollins, almost jumped too soon. Kind of caught that ball on the way down. Little looping liner fooled him off the bat, but it is the second out of the inning. 2 down, nobody on. Here's Darrell Dent, a cousin of former Chicago Bears great Richard Dent. Let's take another look and watch Jimmy Rollins get up in the air. He jumped a little too soon. See if we can see it. Oh, no, not bad.
Maybe the slow motion instant replay caught it a little. It looked like he was on his way down when he caught the ball.
Just his body language said that he jumped too soon. Kind of was a little disgusted with himself. Here's Dent. High in the air left field. Burnham back. Still backing up. Makes the catch and the inning is over. So Evan Thomas retires the bottom third of the Bay Sox order in order. And we go to the bottom of the 4th inning. The score, Reading 2 and Bowie 1.
What's the difference between the big picture and Time Warner Home Theater? That's easy. The big picture is one of the biggest and best parts of Time Warner Home Theater. A premier selection of the latest movies and events we choose each month. So it's easy for you to see what's new, what's hot, what's big. Find out what's on the big picture. Just look for the special tune-in spots we air each month or tune to Sneak Preview. To order the big picture, just check your on-screen guide or Sneak Preview channel for instructions. Get the big picture on Time Warner Home Theater.
Everybody seems to hold me personally responsible for the weather.
It's as thick as pea soup out there.
It's raining cats and dogs. Well, it's time for the sunscreen and the beach towel because it's bright and sunny. I have gladly taken on the responsibility of letting you, Berks County, in on the weather secrets of the local area. Our Berks Watch Weather provides the local, in-depth coverage and storm tracking you rely on. Berks Watch Weather, providing weather coverage for our area, in our area. We're all about Berks.
To the bottom of the 4th inning we go. The Phils leading the Bowie Bay Sox 2-1, trying to capture the final game of this 4-game series. Tomorrow, the Major League All-Star Game. Wednesday night, the Double-A All-Star Game. And of course, in minor leagues, All-Star Games run just a little bit differently. They take the National League affiliates and they play the American League affiliates. And I take it that's the winner of our Kit Kat bar contest tonight.
That's who that was. The young lady asked for a piece of that Kit Kat bar, and sure enough, it was given. She did a very nice job.
Here is Tyrone Horn. Just good to say his name again back in the lineup, and he beats one in the dirt to second. Quickly, Casimira makes the play. Second time Horn has rolled out in that direction. And just like that, one man out. What movie was that from? The Golden Child. Remember that?
That's it.
Eddie Murphy.
That's it.
One away. This was a tough little play for Casimira because he had to wait for the big hop and then field the ball and throw it very quickly. He got Horn by a couple of steps. One down, Rusty McNamara the batter. McNamara roped a double his first time up.
Rusty picking up the first hit of the ball game for the Phils.
Rusty from Riverside, California. Has always hit well in the minor leagues. Hit .291 at Clearwater last year. The year before, low A ball, hit .312. Foul ball past third. No balls and 2 strikes to McNamara.
He's just hitting .217 here in Reading. So he participates in his 13th game here in Reading. He's been up 46 times. He has 10 hits to show. Scored 5 runs. He also has a home run in his brief stint.
Clearwater earlier in the year had an infield where all the guys were 5'8", 5'9". Bill Conlon wrote about that in the Daily News. This guy's a tough competitor, though. Way outside. Towers missing. Josh Towers, 22 years old. There's McNamara's night. Towers from Port Hueneme, California. In Southern California, down near Oxnard, Ventura Highway. Remember that song when you were a kid? Probably don't.
Can you hum a few bars?
I don't. No one wants me humming anything, believe me. 3-2 the count. So McNamara quickly dug himself a hole 0-2. I'll be singing I Did It My Way later in the 7th inning.
Inning on the highway.
McNamara stays alive, fouls one into the lot. Still 3-2.
McNamara reminds me a little bit of a Gary Burnham from the right side. Similar stature, compact, strong swings. Physically resembles.
Ojeda with a nice play, throws on the run in time.
Very nice play.
Ojeda makes all the plays down there at short, 2 down in the inning. And David Francia, the batter.
Right fielder, David Francia.
Rusty McNamara heading back to the dugout. A couple of strange caroms here in the inning. One off the bat of Tyrone Horn, as Carlos Casimiro was able to retire him, and right there with Rusty McNamara to Augie Ojeda.
And that's a foul ball. No balls and 1 strike to Francia. Dave, who one time turned down a scholarship offer to play football at the University of Alabama.
For the Crimson Tide.
This one foul back over our location. No balls and 2 strikes. Saw where Keith Jackson from ABC had that victory tour where he received all kinds of gifts when he was retiring last year. He's coming back for another season. They say he's going to work a lot of games near his home on the West Coast.
These guys just can't give it up.
Ojeda got down on that one and throws out Francia, who can roll down the line. A couple of nice plays in the inning. 3 ground ball outs for Josh Towers. We've played 4 innings here tonight in Reading. The score, the Phillies 2 and the Bay Sox 1.
Berks County News. We are the leader in local sports coverage for Berks County, giving you hometown sports.
Governor Mifflin against Muhlenberg today. It is a key division crossover.
All sports.
Tune in tonight for the latest action on the diamond and track and field. We also have a key matchup in girls soccer.
All season.
Now, we've been following many of the individual tennis players all season long, and it all comes down to this, the flight championships.
For complete sports coverage impacting our schools and community, watch Berks County News. We're all about Berks.
What's the difference between the big picture and Time Warner Home Theater? That's easy. The big picture is one of the biggest and best parts of Time Warner Home Theater. A premier selection of the latest movies and events we choose each month. So it's easy for you to see what's new, what's hot, what's big. Find out what's on the big picture. Just look for the special tune-in spots we air each month or tune to Sneak Preview. To order the big picture, just check your on-screen guide or Sneak Preview channel for instructions. Get the big picture on Time Warner Home Theater.
Now the crowd at Municipal Stadium in Reading, they've seen 4 innings of baseball so far. The Phillies leading this one by a score of 2-1. Hits are even so far at 3. We want to join Mike Drago, who has become a regular contributor to our broadcasts here this season. Mike, the baseball writer for the Reading Eagle Times. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Randy.
All-Star game weekend, always kind of fun when it's in a place like Fenway Park, and they'll cue it up tomorrow night, and then the Double-A All-Star game, Pat Barrow will get a chance. He's certainly made a lot of travel plans for this week between Boston and Alabama and here in Reading tonight.
Yeah, he's going to be a busy guy this week, and I'm sure he'll be pretty tired come Thursday when he gets back here to Reading. I think he's going to be in 5 different cities in 4 days and 4 flights. And, you know, that's the way it is when you're on the top of the world, as he is these days.
Matos hits one high in the air to center field. Reggie Taylor should have no problem. And he makes the catch for out number 1.
The only games Pat Burrell's going to miss is the Pan Am games later this month in Winnipeg, and he's not eligible for that because he's on a 40-man roster. Otherwise, he would be there with the other top players in the United States.
Do you have any inkling? A lot of people, of course, interested in Burrell's progress. There's a guy hitting over 350, and people think that at some point before this year is out, he may make a cameo appearance up in Scranton and maybe in September in Philadelphia. Any inkling of that?
Well, I think he's going to be in Reading the whole year. I haven't heard anything different. I've asked everyone I could ask, and they all have the same answer. And we were just talking to Gary Varsho before the game tonight, and he reiterated the same thing. Steve Degler asked him a question, and Gary seems to think Pat's here for the whole season. And I can see that for a number of reasons. Of course, he's going to start playing left field later this week, and, you know, might as well keep him here where he's comfortable if he's got to make yet another transition. So I don't see him going to Scranton this year. And as far as Philadelphia, you know, I meant to ask him, I believe in his contract, like many top players, they have it in their contract to get a September call-up.
This was a very quick inning. We'll give you a chance to further expound on it. Paz grounded out, Haig flied out. 1, 2, 3 go the Bay Sox. We move to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Phillies 2 and the Bowie Bay Sox 1.
ABS has just started us with a well-rounded background. It's just every aspect of the industry, whether I'm going to be an engineer or an administrator or a technician.
It's much more personal here. It's really relaxing because you get to know your instructors as a person.
The fact that I can come here and come to school for a year and a half and graduate with a degree is fantastic. ABS has given me all the tools I need to get involved in the computer industry.
They will go out of their way above and beyond to help you here.
Looking for quality family entertainment at an affordable price? Join the Reading Phillies and Berks County News for a great night of family fun at the ballpark. On Monday evenings throughout the season, you can receive 4 box seats, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, and a program for only $30. Visit and watch the ball game, enjoy the between-inning entertainment, ride on the train, and more. Come out and join the Reading Phillies for Berks County News Family Nights and have a ball.
Gary Burnham, Clemente Alvarez, Reggie Taylor to do the hitting for the Phillies as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Phillies got 2 runs in the 3rd, that after Bowie scored 1 in the 1st. And that's where we stand in this final game before the All-Star break. Mike Drago is our guest from the Reading Eagle Times. We were talking a little bit about the potential travel plans of Pat Burrell, not only this week, but in the future, perhaps this year. And you had mentioned he's going to get a shot to play left field. Is that with intention of perhaps seeing what he can do out there for the long-range Philadelphia Phillies plans?
Well, I guess it's more short range. You know, they'd like to find a place for him in the lineup and be able to keep Rico Brogna around as well. Rico is a free agent at the end of this year. And the Phillies, in the next couple of months, are going to have to make a decision. First of all, do we want to keep Rico? Do we sign him? If so, he's not going to take a 1-year deal. Players don't do that anymore. You're talking a minimum of 3 years. And if you sign Rico for 3 years at first base, you're blocking that position from Pat Burrell, who, of course, you've got to find a place for. So, you know, there are no power-hitting outfielders in this organization right now ready to move up to the major leagues. Burrell could fill that left field slot for a while, maybe for his entire career. Who knows? I mean, Greg Luzinski was a first baseman here when he was at Reading, Double-A. And I'm not sure how or why they moved him to left, but it worked out okay. He wasn't a great left fielder, but I'm sure Pat Burrell could be better than Greg Luzinski.
Yeah, I would think so. Luzinski was not exactly a gazelle racing for balls in the alleys. And, of course, one moment in 1977 kind of sealed his fate. I'll tell you what, Ojeda has been everywhere in this game, and he makes the play to retire Burnham to start the 5th inning. I guess when you have a guy like Rico Brogna who can swing the bat a little bit, and of course as flawless a first baseman as there is, I mean, he's a joy to watch night in, night out. I guess the only question with Brogna is an injury question with a degenerative back problem. And I guess that'll sort of play in or be a factor in terms of whether they keep him or not.
Right, and that's the kind of thing that has not affected him to date. And Phillies are crossing their fingers, and Rico's dealing with it very well. I guess you just have to put that out of your mind and just hope that he'll be fine, and you sign him to a 2 or 3 year contract. And Pat Burrell's coming very fast. I mean, the Phillies I think they have to readjust their plans a little bit.
Alvarez to left, caught by Dent. Alvarez had a solid single before and gave that one a ride as well. Ball was hit hard, but right at the left fielder Dent. There are 2 down.
The Phillies may a year ago have thought, you know, Burrow would need a full year in AA, a full year in AAA, and he's progressed so quickly here, and he seems to pick things up very quickly and improve immensely that, you know, it's not going to take that long. And they have to find a way to utilize him in Philadelphia. And left field could be the opportunity.
Well, he was a third baseman in college, then moving over to first, learning the fine points of that position. And I think left field will be the ticket as long as they think Rico is relatively healthy. Reggie Taylor, the batter. What do you do with Reggie when you have a Doug Glanville who looks to be having a good year and is still a relatively young player?
Well, that's a good question, because in the last 2 weeks they've started to play Reggie in right field a little bit. They'd like to see him play in left field a little bit, with the idea that he could be a 4th outfielder in the major leagues at this point, you know, at least when he arrives, beginning of his career. And you know, they want to give him some experience on the corner outfield position, so that if that's the case, you know, a year or 2 years from now, should he make the Phillies, he could be valuable in a number of ways. He'd be a great bench player, you know, at some point, because he's got some pop. He can run and hit and throw. You know, his arm is certainly good enough for right field.
And of course, the speed always a factor. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Reggie.
Yeah, you get him on that turf up in Philadelphia, and he's going to become even more valuable, because you put a little line drive in the gap. That's maybe a single here. Well, that scoots through, and you're looking at a triple.
The pitcher, Towers, will make the play to first in time, and the inning is over. So the Phillies go quickly and quietly. 9 men in a row now have been retired by Josh Towers. We've played 5 full innings here. The Phillies 2, the Bay Sox 1.
What's the difference between the big picture and Time Warner Home Theater? That's easy. The big picture is one of the biggest and best parts of Time Warner Home Theater. A premier selection of the latest movies and events we choose each month, so it's easy for you to see what's new, what's hot, what's big. Find out what's on the big picture. Just look for the special tune-in spots we air each month, or tune to Sneak Preview. To order the big picture, just check your on-screen guide or Sneak Preview channel for instructions. Get the big picture on Time Warner Home Theater.
Take a trip with A&E. See West and Eastwood. Visit Glens and Dales and Fields. Travel to Washington and Columbus. Meet extraordinary men and women. Escape with Biography. Every night a true story, a different life every weeknight. Biography, only on A&E.
Target Select Cable Advertising recognizes quality cable programming. A&E's Biography series can be seen Monday through Friday at 8 p.m.
And we're getting ready to start the top of the 6th inning. Chuck Curlin now taking a seat, giving Randy Stevens a little bit of a breather here tonight. Spending some time with Michael Drago.
Actually, I'm sorry that you came back, Chuck. Randy and I were just really getting into some interesting stuff, but
well, you can share that with me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. All I know is your producer in the truck just fainted. They're reviving Becky with cold towels right now.
Well, we'll get started here. Right fielder Rick Short will lead things off for the Bowie Bay Sox, who trail the Phils by a score of 2-1 here in the top of the 6th inning. Good shot there of Pat Barrow. And also Rusty McNamara at third. Well, looking at Rick Short during the ball game, he sacrificed fly and scored, knocking in the first run of the ball game for the Bay Sox. Also singled his last at bat.
You weren't gone very long, Chuck. You know that. You hardly had. You didn't have time for your usual 3 hot dogs during the 5th and 6th innings there.
A quick run up and down the bleachers, that's for sure.
You're going to get indigestion here.
Trying to catch my breath right here in the top of the 6th inning. There are Rick Shorts, officially 1 for 1 tonight's ball game. There's the 2-1 pitch by Thomas. Called a strike on the inside. Nice pitch by Evan. Now, we talked about Evan Thomas today. It seems as though after the first inning, it seems like he always settles down. It's like he's always trying to find his mark in that first inning, and that's usually when opponents get their best opportunity to rough him up. Big swing and a miss by Short.
He's looking really sharp tonight. You know, for a guy who has not had a consistent role on this team. They've moved him all around from long relief, middle relief, set up, closed a little bit. Now he's in the starting rotation, and he's had several adjustments to go through, and his numbers still look good, and he looks very sharp tonight. He's on the verge of winning his third straight start, which I don't think a Reading pitcher has done this year.
Pretty impressive, 5-1. You're right, he has a pretty good ERA, 3.30. I mean, Robert Dodd, the reliever, really stands out with 10 victories on the season. But obviously, what do they? There's a slang word that's
the
used,
vulture.
The vulture.
Yeah,
they
he
come
vultured a bunch of those.
There you go.
You know, 10 wins is great, but when you're coming in out of the bullpen, you need a lot of things to go well for you to get a victory. When you're a starter, of course, you need some help too, because you can pitch great and not get any wins.
But speaking of articles, Randy and I were talking about Bill Collins' articles about the height of the infield that was down at Clearwater. Soft tapper up the middle, but Jimmy Rollins is right there to fire over, but he's safe. Tough call there as Jason Worth beat out the dribbling ground ball up the middle. I'm sure that will be scored a hit.
You don't see too many catchers getting infield hits, huh?
Not at all.
He was moving pretty good.
He was. He got down the line. Well, he's not built like the normal everyday catcher. He's pretty lanky. We talked about that early. Rollins did everything right. Strong throw over, but sure
easily.
enough,
he beat it easily. It took about 6 hops, and I guess you know, the only thing Rollins could have done is maybe charge it, but I don't know that he had that opportunity. Worth, look, he's going to go again.
Another hard hit. Huff's there to pick it up. He's able to retire Carlos Casimiro for the second out of the inning. Larry had to switch directions rather quickly there. He was breaking towards the bag.
Well, they had the hit and run on there. Joe Ferguson obviously not giving Jason Worth a chance to catch his breath. The guy just sprinted down the first pitch. He's got the hit and run going.
Well, getting back to that story, one that we talked about the infielders that played down the Clearwater about all the height. I thought the article that you wrote on the future filling pitching staff with Rob Berger and David Collin, I thought that was Coggin was very well orchestrated on. There was so much promise for that group of young pitchers coming up, and you can see how things materialized. But Kirshner now still trying to revitalize things. He looks rather strong. He was one of the positive signs. But looking out of that rotation that was down there, I guess Coggin was the one that had most of the praise coming into play. You know, he was a quarterback, and he was, you know, struck out so many players in high school, and I thought that was a very nice piece.
Thank you. Yeah, Dave Coggin was the guy at that time, even though his numbers didn't show it. They projected him to be the best of those 4 pitchers, and he still very well could be, but you know, he had surgery today on his shoulder in Philadelphia. His right shoulder had a torn labrum, and so he's obviously done for the year, and he's going to have to make a comeback next year.
Again, it seems like it's been a broken record with David, having a rough time, injury after injury, and having to rehabilitate. And you just hope the organization gives him enough time.
It's possible, now I haven't heard this for sure, but it's possible all the troubles he had last year, and they all seem to be in the same area. Perhaps this tear was there last year in a small way that they could not properly diagnose it. They couldn't tell it was there because he went through a number of tests this year, MRIs and CAT scans and everything, you know, under the book, until they finally figured out what it was. So it must have been in an area that was difficult to get to, because last year he was, you know, on and off the whole time, and he was never totally right. And I'm just thinking, you know, he was probably injured last year and they just couldn't tell for sure.
Well, you hope a speedy recovery for David Coggin as successful surgery was taking place. As we have a 1-2 count here to Wadi Almonte, and a big swing and a miss to retire Almonte to end the inning here in the 6th. Well, the Bay Sox get a hit, but they don't score a run. They leave one. So we're going to go to the bottom of the 6th inning. The Phils still lead the Bay Sox by a score of 2-1. As we see.
The Reading Phillies, affordable family entertainment, an immaculately maintained nostalgic ballpark, a unique blend of players hustling toward a dream in an atmosphere best described as a 9-inning carnival.
of the 6th inning as we see the crescent sky coming over the nice billboard here in Reading Municipal Stadium. The nice jumbotron. The fans are getting urged to yell and scream here to get things riled up as the Phils lead this one 2-1. Evan Thomas doing a nice job on the mound, and so is his counterpart coming up strong, Josh Control Towers. He's actually pitched a pretty good ball game. He's only surrendered 3 hits. They've just been timely, and one costly error really started the things off for the Phillies, and that all took place in today's ball game. Came back in the 3rd inning. That's when most of the damage was done with the 2 runs. Spending some time with Michael Drego, beat writer for the Reading Eagle Times, as we're now into the bottom of the 6th. Mike makes a cameo appearance in most of our telecast here on Time Warner Cable. He's spending 2 innings with us today, and Michael, I guess the All-Star break's coming up. Anything you could be, anything disappointing, I guess, anyone that you thought should have been there that didn't get the opportunity to play
in the Major League All-Star game? Well, you know,
both of them.
It's a shame that, and you got to wonder why Roger Clemens isn't on that All-Star team. I know he hasn't had his best year, but it's in Boston, and if you look at his career accomplishments, you know, he should be there. I have a sneaking suspicion he begged off of that. I heard something on the radio today that, you know, Joe Torre, of course, his manager, picked the team, and maybe Torre was trying to give him a break and let him skip that event. It would have been pretty emotional for Roger to go back there in that setting.
Yes.
And, you know, the Red Sox fans probably would have liked to get one more good boo in on Roger.
Well, you think that, I guess that move actually paid pretty big dividends, as Pedro Martinez has done a pretty good job. Nice play out there by Darrell Dent to make the play on the shot hit by Jimmy Rollins. Opposite field, and Dent picked up that fly ball in stride to record the first down of the inning here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
It's true, you can't criticize the Red Sox for that trade.
Yeah, pretty nice move. We'll look at it one more time. Jimmy Rollins has been playing pretty good baseball over the last few games. In this one, he went down the opposite way, but Dent was equal to the task to make the play right inside the foul line. And here comes Larry Huff, who's officially 0 for 1. He had a sacrifice RBI back in the 3rd inning. He's playing second base tonight. I believe that's his 2nd time of the season.
He's been out there a few times. Brian Harris has a sore wrist, and Larry's the only guy available who can play second base right now.
Yeah, Larry sort of fits into that David Doster, Kevin Sessick mold. He can play everywhere in the infield, and I think if he ever makes it to the major leagues, that will probably be the role that he'll fit perfectly in. He has pretty good speed. He can play a variety of positions. Very baseball smart, as they would say.
That's what the Phillies are grooming him just for that. That's why you'll see him play a lot of positions. He's played left field at times, shortstop, 3rd, 2nd.
Good stopgap player.
He's got a lot of skills, athletic ability.
He's called out on strikes there. A nice pitch by Josh Towers as he caught Larry on the inside pitch for the 2nd out of the inning. And that's the 2nd strikeout of the ball game for Josh Towers. We talk about his accuracy, has not surrendered a walk, and you know how he's done that over the past few years. That's why he's known as Control Towers.
No, he's not known as that. You made that up, didn't you?
No,
I know you did.
I did not. Come on.
I looked throughout the media guide for 2 hours this afternoon. I didn't see anything about Control Towers in
I'm
there.
not Chris Berman.
No, you're definitely not.
Well, John Bennett walks away as he calls time on the pitch to Pat Burrell.
Now, how come the Time Warner crew didn't have Pat Burrell hooked up with the helmet cam today?
Whoa!
Uh-oh.
A little bit of chin music.
I wonder if Mr. Towers didn't like the fact that Burrell stepped out there. Huh? I know Pat did. Look, Pat's a little determined right now. That look on his face is pretty serious.
Oh, yeah.
This will be interesting, the rest of this at-bat.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to speak with Pat when he returns from the AA All-Star game in Mobile, Alabama. There's a shot hit in the right field, but it looks like Rick Short's going to get under it. Sure enough, he does to record the final out of the inning. So 3 up and 3 down for the Phils here in the bottom of the 6th inning. As Pat Burrell has a few words with Milt Thompson, as I'm sure he wasn't pleased with that series of events taken with Josh Towers. Well, that will end the inning here. No runs, no hits, nobody left, but the Phils still lead this one 2-1. We'd like to thank Michael Drego.
Introducing a few reasons to come home to Berks County Bank. Free checking, small business loans, competitive mortgage programs, free Mac services, private banking assistance, trust and investment services, friendly tellers, convenient hours, a comfortable environment, and loyalty to the community. Come home to personalized banking the way it used to be. Come home to Berks County Bank.
TV isn't what it used to be. Today, it's easier and more cost-effective than ever to advertise on cable. And Target Select can help you reach each and every cable subscriber. As an advertiser, that's a trend you can't afford to ignore. And one thing is for certain, Target Select delivers audiences to you in ways no other advertising medium can match. Target Select, today's business advantage, tomorrow's business success.
Top of the 7th inning. Two future Phils in attendance here tonight as the Phillies lead this one 2-1. We're going to have a new pitcher in the ballgame, and Evan Thomas did a pretty good job here today. Looks like the pitcher of the month, Robert Dodd, will get the nod as he was awarded the Reading Phillies pitcher of the month as he went 3-0 for the month of June, and he now files a 10-2 record. Robert Dodd, a very fun-filled character. We did a nice piece with him, Keith, about the Stanley Cup, as he's from the Dallas, Texas area.
Yeah.
Him and David Pice coming from the Buffalo, New York area. We had a little play on that on Game 6, and sure enough, he came up victorious. He predicted the victory, and that was the case.
I think when, after the Dallas Stars won the Stanley Cup, I think Dodd has won his last 4. So something's going right for him.
That's right. Well, Augie Ojeda will lead things off for the Bay Sox here in the top of the 7th, as Robert Dodd will set things up for Evan Thomas, who did a fantastic job tonight for manager Gary Varsho and the Reading Phillies. Well, Augie hits one up, but Reggie Taylor will be able to camp under it to record the first out here in the 7th inning. Quick one by Dodd. How about that 10-2 for a reliever?
I mean,
impressive.
That's I guess you can call him sort of the vulture. I mean, he comes in there late in games, like a tie ball game, and you know, get some guys out, and the Phillies come in with the bats, and end up he gets the win. So Dodson did a great job. Expect him maybe to get a call up in the future.
Well, here's Darrell Dent trying to lay down a bunt. That name Dent sounds familiar. He is the cousin of Richard Dent.
Yep.
And also a senior pro golfer. I believe that's Jim Dent.
Jim Dent, that's right.
There you go. So a lot of professional athletes in the Dent family. Pretty impressive.
And then a very quick player, made a nice grab last inning.
He did. Nice play in the outfield of a play from Jimmy Rollins as he ran that one down along the foul line.
Hey, but a great job by Evan Thomas tonight. 6 innings, allowed 4 hits, a run, it was earned, 3 strikeouts, a walk, but hit 2 guys. Can't ask anything better for Thomas tonight.
Well, a high fly ball, but it looks as though Gary Burnham will be able to camp under it right exactly in the same spot where Dent made the play on Jimmy Rollins. And that's the 3rd time that Darrell Dent has flown out to Gary Burnham in this ballgame. 2nd out of the inning, and we'll go back up to the top of the lineup. Center fielder Louis Matos will lead things off here to get things going with 2 outs. Robert Dodd always seems to be doing a good job for the Phillies when he's out on the mound, and right now trying to secure a 2-1 lead as Evan Thomas pitched a pretty strong 6 innings of ball.
Yeah, Thomas did a great job tonight. You can't really complain what he has done. In fact, his last 3 starts, and the way the Phillies bullpen has been pretty much this year, they've done a great job. So, especially with Dodd pitching here, he has a chance probably to go to the next 3 innings. Right now, the Phillies do have Cliff Polite in the bullpen, but right now, Dodd can get some quick innings. He probably can go the distance.
And we talk about the AA All-Star coming up here. Here's a hard hit ball, but Burnham's in perfect position. He makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning.
Pretty quick, huh?
Pretty quick inning here for the Phils. So they go up, 3 up, 3 down here in the top of the 7th inning. We're coming to the bottom of the 7th. The Phils still lead the Bay Sox by a score of 2-1. Nice play there by Gary Burnham as he made 2 out of the 3 outs here in the 7th.
When you're hungry, don't worry about what time it is. Queen City Restaurant is always open. And for just $4.95, you can choose any delicious weekly dinner special, which include entree, soup, vegetable, roll, beverage, plus dessert. Low prices and great food. It just doesn't pay to cook. Any time is the right time to bring out the whole gang for these $4.95 dinner specials. Queen City Restaurant, conveniently located at Lancaster Avenue and Route 10 in Reading. Open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for your dining pleasure.
Before I came to ABS, I had never worked on computers before.
The class size was small enough that there could be some one-to-one attention given to the students.
They have a good knowledge of what is going on in the business world right now.
Photography, multimedia, it was just incredible the amount of knowledge that we gained in 18 months.
It was quick, to the point, structured, and exactly what I needed for the graphic design field.
Get in, get out, and get back into the working world.
Well, the skies seem to be clear now here at Reading Municipal Stadium. We had a little drizzle early, but it seems cleaned up now, and it's a big night tonight because it's our radio broadcaster, Steve Degler's 33rd birthday. We'd like to wish him a happy birthday from all of us here at Time Warner Cable. There is Steve Degler, the voice of the Reading Phillies for the past 8 seasons. I'm spending some time here with his counterpart, Keith Gerhardt, who is sort of his apprentice, I guess is a good way of putting it. Having fun spending a summer with Mr. Degler. Well, right now it's time for the Reading Phillies trivia, and here is the question. What pitcher holds the Reading Phillies record for the most strikeouts in a season? There it is. You can send your answers to Time Warner Cable Programming Department, 400 Riverfront Drive, also on the World Wide Web of twcbaseball@hotmail.com. Once again, which pitcher holds the R-Phil's record for the most strikeouts in a season? Well, this is Tyrone Horn who'll lead things off here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He's officially 0 for 2. He grounded out to second a pair of times to Carlos Casimiro. Coming back off the disabled list as he spent some time out of the lineup with an appendectomy.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a big medical term, but that's right. It's great to see Tyrone Horn back in the lineup. Really happy today at batting practice, and he's one of probably the good guys on the team. It's just a smiling guy, smiles wherever he goes, has some fun out there. Glad to see him back in the lineup. They really need him.
Hard hit ball. He goes to the opposite field this time. It could be extra bases. No. We're going to hold him up at first. So Tyrone Horn picks up a single here to get things started here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Rusty McNamara will come up next. As McNamara is officially 1 for 2. He doubled his first at bat back in the 2nd inning. Rounded out the short back in the 4th. Officially 1 for 2. Tyrone Horn at first. Nobody out here in the bottom of the 7th. The Phils lead this one 2-1.
A good piece of hitting by Horn going the other way. He's been a good hitter for most of his career and shows why there with a nice piece of hitting.
Oh, we talked about Horn when he was picked up for the Reading Phillies. Bunt laid down here by McNamara. He's going to go to second, but no, he's going to pull. Does a nice job of pulling Ojeda off the bag, so everyone's safe. Good job there by Horn getting into second in time. So runners at first and second. A nice bunt laid down by Rusty McNamara. We'll look at it again. Josh Towers jumps off the mound to make the play. He thought had plenty of time, but he slid, and that might have been just enough time for Horn to get in, and the high throw, sure enough, pulling him off the bag. So everyone's safe. As though we will have a sacrifice set here on this one, and it'll be an error to the pitcher. It'll be the second one of the ballgame that Josh has been given. So 2 errors on the board. Both were given to Josh Towers, as right now pitching coach Mike Schmidt comes out. Schmidt's going to take some time and talk to Towers, try to control him. He normally is under control. There's Josh Towers' numbers as we have bullpen activity going on for the Reading Phillies and also for the Bowie Bay Sox.
Yeah, looks like Mike McDougal warming up in the Phillies bullpen. That's Dave Schmidt, by the way. When he said Mike Schmidt, I was like, wait a minute.
That's right. Well, you know, when we're at the Phils, you always think of Michael Jack. There's the activity being taken place here in the bullpen as Josh Towers might be coming a little bit unwound here in the bottom of the 7th inning now with runners at first and second. He has not pitched in too much trouble throughout the ball game. It's been a pretty easy ride for him as the hits are even apiece at 4. And here is David Francia. He is actually 0 for 2 on the evening. He grounded out his last at bat. Now have runners at first and second with no one out.
Well, who hasn't grounded out tonight? Towers has thrown the ball. Look at that play, a little pickoff play, and nobody was covering. In fact, they're going to give him a balk.
That's exactly it.
Because Haig was not covering at first.
So another mental breakdown here by the pitcher, Josh Towers.
I guess they got their singles mixed up a little bit because Haig wasn't holding on Rusty McNamara at all at first. I don't know why you threw to first with a guy on second. Well, Well, now Towers getting, like you said, Chuck, a little bit unraveled after the error, and you better watch it, because right now nobody out. Phillies can get some damage here and try to open up the ball game here in the 7th.
So they're going to intentionally put Francia on, as all runways will be filled, as the control tower seems to be a little bit busy here this evening, as Josh Towers having a tough time here in the bottom of the 7th. Phil's trying to tack on a few more. They only lead by a run, 2-1. And we still have no one out. Francia is going to get the free pass and set things up for Gary Burnham.
Yeah, they're going to go righty-lefty matchup here. Probably Towers against Burnham, the lefty.
There is Burnham. He reached base on an error by Towers and scored the first run of the ball game for the Phils. Also grounded out to second, his last at bat back in the 5th inning. So officially 0 for 2. Gary Burnham comes to the plate with the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 7th with no one out.
Well, right now, of course, Towers, who usually throws the ball over the plate very, very well. Burnham needs a good pitch to hit. The infield will be in, looking for the force play at home. So if he can get the ball in the air, or at least a little nice line drive over the head of the infielders, then the damage will be done by the Phils.
You look at Burnham, always seems to hit the ball hard. Good situation here for him. We talked about him, 7 home runs on the season. A very good addition here to the Reading Phillies this season.
I call him maybe a spark plug, a really good spark plug, very emotional guy, likes to win.
Talk about Rusty McNamara. I say that it's the Rusty McNamara from the left side. The two of them physically resemble one another.
Yeah. I think McNamara probably a little bit shorter, but doesn't hear me saying that.
That was Keith Gerhardt. Hard hit ball right back at Towers. He's going to come home, and it looks like we're going to have a double play. Sure enough, they do. As Towers stopped that ball, it was hit hard up the middle by Burnham, but nice play by the pitcher to fire it home, and nice throw in by Jason Worth, the second, to get the lead runner, David Francia. Look at it one more time as Burnham got all of it, a stroke right up the middle, and that's what you'd like to see, but good defense by the pitcher, Josh Towers. There you have it. 1-2-6 on the play. Double play, and there is light at the end of the tunnel here for Josh Towers.
That was a big play. Towers reacted very quickly on the mound to throw home, but what a play by the catcher Worth to throw to second, because Francia wasn't running very well on the ball there, as he had to hold up to make sure if maybe the ball was caught or not. But now Towers has got a big jam, but not out of the woods yet. Man on the corner with Clemente Alvarez, who's hit the ball very hard tonight. 1 for 2, a single, and a very hard line out to left.
Talk about his offensive performance. He has done a fantastic job behind the plate with Evan Thomas. Has knocked down a few balls, picked a few out of the dirt. Did a nice job of setting up the picture for Thomas here in this ball game.
Well, Alvarez calls a great game as far as behind the plate. He called Adam Eaton's no-hitter in Norwich. He has called some great games. And usually the Phillies pitching staff does better with Alvarez than the other catchers. He's a veteran guy, and helped the ball come that way.
So McNamara's at third. Looking at Gary Burnham at first. Bookends, as I like to call him. There is Burnham. Hit a hard shot right back to Towers for the double play. As Josh seemed to be into a bit of trouble. And there's the saving grace here. And fly ball, it's going to go picked off. Nice catch here along the fence by Tom Haig to end the inning. Big play. Josh Towers gets out of trouble without surrendering a run, but the Phils come into here the top of the 8th inning, still lead this one 2-1.
Nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop your cable company from being on time. Well, practically nothing. Because no matter what life throws at us, we're on time for installations, or they're free. And we're on time for service appointments, or you get 20 bucks guaranteed.
Hey, you're right on time.
Or wouldn't that be? Too bad everything's not guaranteed like cable service.
See some fans finishing up the condiments of the evening here. A little hot dog, and the attendance tonight, 5,890. And Keith, they saw a rather bizarre bottom of the 7th inning. What looked to be a 2-run single all of a sudden turns into a double play, and that may have turned the game around.
Yeah, Towers got out of a very, very huge jam. A line shot by Burnham off the angle of Towers, quickly through the home, and a great play by Worth, the catcher, to quickly throw to second, who caught Francia sleeping, trying to run to second. Maybe Francia just held up there a little bit to make sure if maybe the ball was caught.
Well, here now is Cliff Polite. He'll become the 3rd pitcher of the evening for the Reading Phillies. Robert Dodd went an inning and retired the side in order. And interesting with Polite, he has been a starting pitcher all season long, and now the word has come down from the front office in Philadelphia that they think his future as a Philadelphia Philly may be as a bullpen pitcher, and as a result, they're going to turn him from a starter into a reliever probably for the rest of the season.
Yeah, with Polite, he was already called up to Philadelphia this season, in fact, and got a couple innings as an extra guy. The Phillies, when Desi Relaford got injured, they called up Polite from Reading to have an extra pitcher on the roster, and got some action in. Got hit a little bit hard in Chicago in Wrigley Field. Glenn Allen Hill hit a home run off him, got to face Grace and Sosa. A pretty good experience to see him get back in the major leagues. Started for St. Louis last season, and yeah, I think Polite's quickest way, and he knows it too. He always says that his quickest way to get back to the majors is going in the bullpen. It's going to take a big adjustment for him to do that.
And he came back down to Reading when the Phillies added a backup shortstop, and hence he's in the Phillies bullpen now, and he delivers the first pitch for a strike to the batter Richard Paz. Phillies could have broken this game open, had the bases loaded, bottom of the 7th with nobody out, and failed to score. And a called strike, and you don't see too many 1-2-6 double plays. A really heads-up play by the catcher Worth, who caught the ball, looked as if he was going to throw to first base, and instead rifled to throw to second.
Yeah.
The runner a little slow in getting away because he had to wait to see if the ball would be caught. This is a base hit, a ground ball into right field, and a single for Paz. And now let's see if the Bay Sox
Number 25, first baseman Tom Hayes.
attempt to tie this game. They certainly dodged a bullet in the bottom of the 7th inning. Now they have the leadoff man aboard in the 8th.
Well, good piece of hitting by Paz, going the other way to right.
And plenty of bullpen action right now for the Phils, as the right-hander on the right side who is throwing.
Russ Herbert, I believe.
Herbert,
yeah, right-hander.
Okay. And a lefty up as well. This one fouled away. Been an interesting night for your colleague Steve Degler, who
yeah,
it's his birthday, his 33rd birthday. We had mentioned that earlier, and they have done any number of things tonight to embarrass him, including having the fans serenade him with "Happy Birthday" in the middle of the 7th inning during the 7th inning stretch.
His face was everywhere on the TVs down the concourse, the big screen here. Got him a couple times on the radio this evening. But yeah, 33 years old for Dags. Been here with the Reading Phillies a long time, 8 years. It's a pleasure working with him. He's taught me a lot about baseball. He's a great guy.
One strike to count, and we know that here at Time Warner. We've been associated with him for a number of years, doing football and basketball as well, college and high school. Haig fouling one away, so not trying to sacrifice bunt here, as you have your best line drive hitter, your number 3 hitter.
Yeah, Haig, a pretty smart player, Princeton graduate, took his major with psychology. Passed in flying colors at Princeton, so he's a smart hitter. Played for Allentown, Ambassadors in the Independent League.
Towards second base, Huff over to field. It throws him out. The lead runner moving down to second. The tying run in the form of Paz there now with 1 out. The cleanup man, Rick Short, will be the hitter. Short tonight, accounting for the only run of the game for Bowie, a sacrifice fly ball in the first inning. He's 1 for 2 officially. He's only hit a 3rd inning single.
Yeah, Short has killed the Reading Phillies this season, almost batting .500 against the Reading Phillies. This guy, for some reason, just hits well against Reading. You just can't say enough.
17 for 35, pretty good.
Yeah.
You can see a little bit of a light drizzle. A couple of umbrellas have come up around the stadium. But otherwise, a very pleasant evening. And it's cool, a little bit overcast. Short takes his changeup for a strike.
I see some fans have used the beach towels they got in here.
It's a good night to have the beach towels, that's for sure. The only thing better might be umbrella night. One strike to count to Rick Short. The tying run at second. A little bit low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies really have turned things around over the last couple of weeks. This looked to be a team almost dead in the water when the month of June began. And they really have played very well.
Yeah, the way they've done these comeback victories the past weekend was just unbelievable. You just find new ways to win somehow, and this team just fights. You can almost say the fighting Phils with this team, man. And they're not out of it. I mean, 5.5, they can win here, probably be 4.5 games back. I mean, the whole Southern Division is going to be battling for a playoff race, and it should be very, very exciting. Unlike the Northern Division, which is almost all over, because Trenton has absolutely just demolished everybody they faced in the Northern Division thus far.
They pretty much have lapped the field. This one missing, and now 3 balls and 1 strike from Polite. Changes that you have to make from a starting pitcher to a middle reliever. Obviously, a starter can pretty much figure out his routine. He knows when he's going to pitch. He can prepare for the day. You never really have any idea when you come to the ballpark as a middle reliever whether you're going that night or how long you're going for.
Yeah, you don't know. And that's what the guys like Polite and Jaquez have to worry about.
That's a base hit. Paz being waved around. Burnham up with the ball. Here comes the throw. Won't be in time. It's cut off. And the Bowie Bay Sox have tied the game. It's 2-2. Rick Short has delivered again. His second RBI of the night and his second hit. And this game is tied 2-2.
Well, he's been killing the running Phillies tonight and all day and all year long. This guy just has something about the running Phillies. You just can't explain it. And that at bat, he just ripped one right down the left field line. And what else can you say? Almost speechless. What a guy's hitting against one team. It's almost incredible.
18 hits and 36 at bats on the season, and they have been productive hits. He's accounted for both runs tonight. The Bay Sox now with 6 hits on the night. Here's Jason Worth. And Keith, how big now is what happened in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Phillies looked as if they were going to really take charge of this game, and all of a sudden it's all tied up.
It came back to bite him, as you can say. Big double play, the 1-2-6. Bases loaded double play. That could probably be one of the plays of the game tonight.
One thing it does is it means that Evan Thomas will not get a win tonight. He had pitched 6 innings of 4-hit baseball, pitched very well. But the game now tied, and he will get a no decision. Breaking ball missed.
Yeah, like you said about how starting pitchers trying to get adjusted to the relievers. Talked to Thomas Jaquez about it. He's now in the bullpen. It's psychologically, it's a little bit better. You have when you have a routine as far as how you plan out your starts, as far as what you eat, and so focused. You don't really talk to anybody if you're a starting pitcher. You kind of keep to yourself. Here's a bullpen. You can joke around a little bit. Just make sure when you start warming up, then you start getting focused.
The thing as a starter, too, is that if you do not have your stuff, Evan Thomas was a little shaky tonight in the first inning. If you can get by that first inning, you can kind of settle in. Whereas a middle reliever oftentimes isn't afforded the opportunity to settle down, because if you don't produce, you're pretty much out of there relatively quickly. 2-1 the count. Runner goes. Pitch, reach for, fouled away. And Rick Short will return to first base.
How about this kid Worth for a catcher, 6'4". Pretty big kid. And for a catcher, has some great speed. I don't know if he'll be ending up as a catcher or maybe in the organization, the Baltimore organization. Probably looks like more like a left fielder, but
he's got some good bloodlines.
Yeah.
His mother, Kim Schofield, was a sprinter who was in the Olympic trials a number of years back. And of course, Schofield, a familiar name to baseball fans. Dick Schofield back with the Pirates in the 60s, and of course his son, also named Dick, with the Angels, a couple other clubs. Now out of baseball. He's related to them, cousins.
So some great lineage of athletes in the Worth family.
But you're right, at 6'4" and rather slim, know about catching. Off the hands, little pop-up. Burrow in pursuit, won't get there. Kind of slipped as he went for that ball. Boy, he really jammed him on that pitch.
Yeah, good pitch by Polite to jam him, and you have to do that on a big guy like Worth. And Polite, who throws pretty hard in the 90s. Got a nice fastball, jammed him right there on the end of the bat.
If you're just joining us, we're in the 8th inning. This game has moved rapidly to this point. The Bay Sox have tied it with a run. That's the man who produced it. Rick Short continues to hit well against the Phillies. The 2-2 pitch. Popped up mile high in the infield. And the shortstop Rollins has it. That was the second out.
That's a big out for Polite to get Worth out. And you can take some advantage with Casemiro, but you have to watch out for Casemiro. He's a pretty good hitter for a second baseman. Casemiro has 10 home runs.
That's the good news. The bad news is he's 0 for 3 tonight, right. 2 for his last 35. He's up with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the 3rd inning and popped up. Now a runner at first with 2 down here in the 8th.
This is a pretty big game tonight for the Reading Phillies. They can pull a win off here tonight. It'll be a good note to get away for the All-Star break and start a big series against Altoona for the weekend. This could be a huge series against Altoona.
Fouled away. Polite running the fastball in on him. 1 ball, 1 strike. Phillies could move to within 3 games of second-place Bowie with a win tonight. And of course, a win makes the All-Star break a whole lot better. A couple of days off. Tomorrow, the Major League game. Wednesday night, the AA game.
But no day off for Pat Burrow. He has to quickly go all the way down to Mobile, Alabama for the AA All-Star game on Wednesday.
He's a traveling man this week. Big swing, strike 2. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Casemiro.
The thing about Pat talking today, had a great time up in Boston. It was just all at Fenway Park. It's just, you can't really beat that. Just to feel and play at Fenway Park. Not many people get a chance to play there.
Here are some finals from this afternoon. Norwich winning. New Haven over New Britain. Harrisburg defeating Erie. And Akron over Altoona. That's strike 3 call. Casemiro retired. Polite gets a strikeout. However, he gives up 2 hits that produce a run. 1 man left on base. Phillies back to square one. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's the Phillies 2 and the Bowie Bay Sox 2.
CNBC's Business Center is about power. Who's got it and how they did it.
Business Center is about money, people making money, and what they're doing with their money.
Business Center is about people who work hard and play hard.
And sometimes fall hard.
Business Center with Maria Bartiromo and Tyler Matheson, weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern, only at CNBC.
Business Center is brought to you by Target Select Cable Advertising.
At Berks County Bank, we guarantee personalized banking the way it used to be. Age
You are watching the Time Warner Cable Network. The following is a Time Warner Cable sports presentation.
Tonight from Municipal Stadium in Reading, Time Warner Cable presents Reading Phillies Baseball 1999. Tonight's game features the Reading Phillies and the Bowie Bay Sox. Tonight's game is brought to you by Berks County Bank. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Municipal Stadium in Reading. I'm Randy Stevens along with Chuck Curlin. The Phillies tonight conclude a 4-game series with the Bowie Bay Sox, and this is the final game before the All-Star break, which will consume the next 2 nights. And for the Phillies, a chance to win a series, a victory tonight would give them a 3-1 advantage. It sure would. They've been playing spectacular baseball as of late, as they won 13 out of their last 18. Pat Burrell back in the lineup, spent some time in the featured All-Stars team. Didn't fare too well, but he represented the Reading Phillies in fine fashion, that's for sure. And hopefully he'll make some noise tonight here against Bowie. Evan Thomas will get the start here tonight. Thomas has been relegated mostly to the bullpen during this 1999 season, but he has a great deal of experience as a starter in a Reading uniform. Last year, that was his primary role. You're exactly right. He was actually the opening day starter. This year, his last 3 starts coming out. He's won his last 2. Pitched extremely well. Good control. Guy has a fantastic curveball. Keep your eye. Evan should have a good game tonight here to end the first half of the season. His mound opponent tonight is a reed-thin right-hander named Josh Towers, and a guy who has an interesting nickname. Control Towers. How about that? He's known for control. The guy rarely gives up a walk. He has 2 of the Eastern League records. He pitched 42 1/3 without surrendering a walk, and then 44 innings in succession. So he has done a pretty good job with control. But one thing, though, about him is he also surrenders a lot of home runs, and that might be a good sign to hear. Not too much humidity in the air. The ball might be traveling out of the ballpark. An important game for the Reading Phillies. They're trying to catch the Bowie Bay Sox. Should be an interesting go. We'll have the starting lineups and tonight's game for you right after these words.
Before I came to ABS, I had never worked on computers before.
The class size was small enough that there could be some one-to-one attention given to the students.
They have a good knowledge of what is going on in the business world right now.
Photography, multimedia, it was just incredible the amount of knowledge that we gained in 18 months.
It was quick, to the point, structured, and exactly what I needed for the graphic design field.
Get in, get out, and get back into the working world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the splendor of the pagoda. We have witnessed the nationally acclaimed Reading outlets. And now, behold the royalty of Reading, Queen City Restaurant.
It's so beautiful and so clean.
Oh, this is unbelievable. Let's see.
Ideally located, Queen City remains a favorite meeting place for Berks Countyans.
Queen City. Welcome to Queen City.
With delightful aromas and outstanding cuisine, Queen City remains a true symbol of quality, home-style cooking at a reasonable price. Queen City Restaurant,
where good friends meet for good food 24 hours a day.
Introducing a few reasons to come home to Berks County Bank. Free checking, small business loans, competitive mortgage programs, free Mac services, private banking assistance, trust and investment services, friendly tellers, convenient hours, a comfortable environment, and loyalty to the community. Come home to personalized banking the way it used to be. Come home to Berks County Bank.
Were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, and bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet
Municipal Stadium in Reading is the scene for tonight's final game of this four-game series between the Reading Phillies and the Bowie Bay Sox. Overcast skies here at the ballpark. In fact, they are calling for some rain, although they really do expect it much later, so we should be in for a good weather game. Certainly the temperatures have cooled off, and certainly the fans here at the ballpark, and especially in the picnic area, can appreciate that. Well, coming into tonight's ball game, the Bowie Bay Sox 49-39. The Phils come in 2 games over 500. They are 45-43. Reading captured Friday and Saturday night's games. Yesterday, Bowie got a measure of revenge as they won yesterday afternoon's game, and good crowd on hand to see this final game before the All-Star break. Let's take a look at the starting lineups tonight. First for the Bowie Bay Sox from Maryland, Luis Matos is in center field. He'll bat first. Richard Paz is the third baseman, hitting second. Tom Haig, the first baseman out of Princeton, bats third. Rick Short in right field hits fourth. Jason Worth, the catcher, bats fifth. Carlos Casemiro, the second baseman, batting sixth. Hitting seventh, the DH, Wadi Almonte. The shortstop, Augie Ojeda, bats eighth. And the left fielder, Darrell Dent, bats number 9. On the mound will be Josh Towers. How about defensively for the Reading Phillies, Chuck?
Well, Randy, this is how it's set up from third to first. We have Rusty McNamara getting the start at third base this evening. Jimmy Rollins swinging a hot bat at short. Larry Huff will be at second tonight, and Pat Farrell will be over at first base. In the outfield, from left to right, we'll have Gary Burnham in left field, Reggie Taylor in center, David Francia in right. Behind the plate will be Clemente Alvarez, and on the mound with Evan Thomas, coming in with a 5-1 record and a 3.30 ERA. There's a good shot of Evan, coming off of 2 consecutive victories on the mound, doing a nice job getting back into the starting rotation here with the Reading Phils.
The umpires for tonight's game, John Bennett behind the plate. Scott Walendowski is at first base, and Rob Driscoll is at third. So we are set for baseball here. The Bowie Bay Sox and the Reading Phillies. Evan Thomas set to pitch to Luis Matos. And the ball game underway. The first pitch too high, ball 1.
You got to look at Evans' numbers in his last outings. Phil's come up with a victory there, and he said he was in the bullpen to start things off this season. Last year he was the opening day pitcher, and sure enough, he's worked his way back into the rotation and has been doing a stellar job for manager Gary Varsho.
Pitch fouled away, 1 ball and 1 strike to Matos. Paz and then Haig, the first 3 hitters of the game for the Bay Sox. Bowie with one of, I guess, of all of the strange nicknames around the country, and some of the good ones. The Bay Sox have one of the best. Team down on the coast in Maryland, just between Washington and Annapolis in Bowie. They play in the largest stadium in the league. 12,000 fans can fit into Bowie Stadium. This one ripped by the third baseman McNamara out into left field, a base hit. So Matos is aboard to start the game. Richard Paz will be the hitter.
Matos turned on an off-speed pitch. Went right down through the hole through McNamara and Rollins. A hard-hit ball. Hit the first hit of the ball game. Well, you talked about the Reading Phillies being 2 games over 500, Randy. One good news is that Akron defeated Altoona, a team ahead of the Reading Phillies today, 7-1, and also Harrisburg defeated Erie 9-6 in 11 innings. Good sign here, so if the Phillies can pick up a victory here, they can pick up a full game as they trail Erie by 5.5 games.
Well, the Phillies really have made some remarkable progress. They were 10 games below 500. That pitch taken, a foul tip, strike 1. And now just 5.5 out. And 4 games, as you alluded to, behind second place Bowie. So for the Reading Phils, anytime you can beat teams directly ahead of you, it's a big victory. And that's what they're shooting for here tonight and trying to win this series. Move over to first base and back safely as Matos. Luis at first base with good speed. He's 20 years old, from Puerto Rico. And Evan Thomas, who primarily has been used as a reliever here, was a starter a year ago, 8-5 in 24 starts. Fouled away as the runner Matos going. He'll have to go back in the count 0-2.
So Richie Paz, he was 0 for 4 in yesterday's game. He's 1 for 12 in the series since we are in the 4th game of the 4-game series. Phil's here lead 2 games to 1. Try to pick up the 3rd here for a nice break for the All-Stars. Pat Burrell will be spending some time in Mobile, Alabama. Also coming in for the Bowie Bay Sox, Ryan Kohlmeyer will be representing the Bay Sox this year. I think he'll be replacing Matt Riley.
Pat Barrow's been a busy guy. He was up in Boston yesterday, playing in a brand new kind of an all-star game. Little tapper, tough play for McNamara, and he throws the ball away. Doesn't go far enough to allow any advance, and Barrow able to get a glove on it to keep it from going past the coaching box. Barrow will go over and take a look. Almost slipped, kind of slipped awkwardly as he went for that ball. We'll take another look. This was a tough play for McNamara. This is one of those plays that you almost have to barehand and throw in the same motion. And once he did not do that, he wasn't going to get him.
That's right. Just got it off the end of the bat. It trickled down the line, but it was staying in play. And sure enough, McNamara, like you said, went down with the leather. Didn't really have enough on it. And watch Barrow after this. He a little bit of a stutter there right at the end of the play. It looked for a moment there. He was ready to fall forward.
Well, a little bit of trouble for Evan Thomas here in the first inning. Tom Haig, the batter, takes ball one. A single to left and an infield single. Runners at first and second with nobody out. And Haig, a .292 hitter, 6 homers, 53 driven in.
Well, Haig was 1 for 2 yesterday.
He rips one, but foul.
He's 1 for 4 in this series. In the last 9 games, though, he's had 9 RBIs, and he's also hit a homer, so 14 for his last 28, hitting .500 for Tom Haig. There are his numbers.
Haig, who came out of Princeton University, not a lot of Ivy League players moving up the ranks in baseball, and he fouls this one away third base side. It's 1-2. Actually resurrected his career by playing with the Allentown Ambassadors in the Northeast League a year ago. Hit .348 and won himself a look by the Orioles organization. Pretty much of a line drive hitter, and as a first baseman, really to move up to the big leagues, if you don't have a little more power, you're looking at hitting in the minors maybe 15, 18 home runs, and he probably is going to get double figures before the year is out, but much more of a spray hitter and a line drive hitter than perhaps they would like for somebody who plays either a first baseman or a third baseman.
Right, you want the power on the corners, speed up the middle, and you're exactly right. Some teams get away with it. If you have a catcher, they can hit the long ball.
Fouled away again. Haig is a lot of fun to watch because he kind of stands up there, he'll talk to himself. If there's a pitch that he feels that he should have driven somewhere and he fouls it away, he's liable to hit his helmet with the bat. And it's odd because here's a guy who went to Princeton and off the field, very low-key guy, but really takes the art of hitting seriously.
Speak of Ivy League players, there's only actually one player in the big leagues that I ever think of making it, and that was the pitcher for the New York Mets, Ron Darling.
He attended Yale University. Curveball, bounced towards second, knocked down by Huff. They get the force. Nice play by Huff to stay with it. So they get a force out on Paz, scored 4-6. Haig safe at first on the fielder's choice. And Luis Matos at third. And let's take another look.
Larry Huff saves a run here because it was a nice shot up the middle. He went with the backhand. It was enough just to get leather on it. He had the presence of mind just to flip it over to Rollins to get the force at second.
It's a kind of good news, bad news scenario. The good news is they did get an out. The bad news is if he comes up cleanly with the ball, they probably turn 2. But instead, Rick Short will step in, a .310 hitter with 9 homers, 39 driven in. There's another big curveball. This one misses, ball 1. We mentioned Pat Barrow's travel plans for the week. He was in Boston participating in the Major League Baseball's All-Stars Futures game yesterday. So what do you figure? Massachusetts on Sunday, Reading on Monday, and Alabama tomorrow.
A lot of frequent flyer miles, that's for sure.
It's like an NBA schedule.
That's exactly it.
Pitch misses, 2 balls and no strikes from Evan Thomas.
There is Rick Short. He was 2 for 5 in yesterday's ball game. He's 4 for 13 in the series. He's 7 for his last 30 at bats in his last 8 games. He's been a Philly killer, that's for sure. Short has come up big, getting close to, what, 500 against the Phillies.
Yeah, 16 for 33. Big swing there and a foul tip. 2 balls and 1 strike to Rick Short. Evan Thomas scuffling through the first inning. Runners at the corners with 1 out. Just underway here in Reading. On a day when there will be no competition at all from Big League Baseball. Big Leagues have the day off in preparation of tomorrow night's All-Star game at Fenway Park in Boston. Misses low, 3 balls and a strike. This day and Wednesday are the 2 days of the year where there are no big league professional sports at all.
That's right.
They're the only 2 days. It used to be you wouldn't play on Christmas, and now you do.
Speaking of that, how about Kurt Schilling getting the start for the National League All-Stars? 3 Philly representatives this year. Mike Lieberthal and Paul Bird.
Had the chance Friday night to take in Schilling's performance at the Vet, his last win. And certainly is getting primed. He really responds well to those big-time situations. This one drilled to center. Here comes Reggie Taylor, makes the catch. Mattos tagging. The throw will come in, but not be in time. It'll be an RBI for Short, a sacrifice fly ball, and a 1-0 lead for the Bay Sox.
Number 11, catcher Jason Worth.
RBI number 40 for Rick Short. This one hit on a rope, but right at Reggie Taylor, and deep enough to make, or to allow the runner from third to score, although Reggie certainly had a good start here in throwing the ball.
Taylor does have a pretty strong arm, but he had some speed with your leadoff hitter Los Matos on third. No problem getting in.
And Jason Worth now the batter. And actually that is 1 homer and 8 runs batted in. But the .357 correct. He has played very well since joining this club from Single-A Frederick.
Well, he was 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs yesterday. Had a pretty good game, and he's 2 for 12 in the series. So like you say, doing a nice job coming up from Frederick.
He's a guy who is not exactly built like a catcher. Good breaking ball at the knees, called a strike, 0-2. He's a former first-round pick.
You talk about a guy that's not built like a catcher. How about Mike Lieberthal?
Mike Lieberthal going to the All-Star game, and good for him, because a lot of people question that pick when the Phillies made it. Struck him out as he goes after a high fastball out of the zone. So Evan Thomas able to escape with only 1 run scoring, 1 run on 2 hits, 1 man left aboard. Phillies will get their first cracks at bat in this game. We go to the bottom of the first inning.